Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you once again for joining us on the United Regional Chamber of Commerce's weekly update. We try to bring on some interesting guests and some interesting topics. And as we're moving into the spring, and hopefully we see some better weather, I know a lot of folks are thinking about possibly selling their home, downsizing, or buying a new home, whatever it might be. So this week, I'm happy to bring on Marcie Rappa of Rappa Homes and Associates. Marcie happens to be on my board of directors as well, so I have to be nice to her on the show. But I thought we'd talk about how can you get your home prepared for the spring market. So, ladies and gentlemen, meet Miss Marcie Rappa from Rappa Homes and Associates.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you.
Well, so Marcie, what are some of the most important improvements or repairs that people could focus on to maximize the sale price of their house?
This is a good question to ask because we get this question often and we post about it on our social media as well. Some of the most valuable investments that you can make to your home, if you have hardwood floors or carpeting covering hardwood floors, I would see that as one of the largest things that you can do to maximize the equity in your home. Another thing that we typically recommend is landscaping and curb appeal. So starting at the street, look at your mailbox, make sure that if it needs to be replaced or at least painted, start there. And then power washing, cleaning everything up, maintenance of the shrubs out front, and front door is another one that a lot of times people replace when they're getting ready to sell, and garage doors, things like that that make first impressions. But overall, the biggest bang for your buck is the decluttering. So start now if you are thinking about getting your house ready for the market in the next 6 months, or if you're thinking about selling in the next 5 years even, it's a good place to start with a dumpster or donations.
Now, you mentioned hardwood floors. Is that one of the most popular things people are looking for today?
It really is. And people don't want to live on someone else's carpets. I know that seems a little bit harsh, but if you have carpet in your home, I would either look at having an estimate to have that replaced, at least refreshed and cleaned. But bedrooms, I think people are okay with it, but they're really looking for hardwood floors these days. And the stain color really makes a difference. Sometimes people just, they don't want that darker color on their floors because it shows a lot of scratches. So if you're looking to make an investment in an update, I would highly recommend consulting with us on that prior to you doing it. Just, you can even send us samples, pictures, but a conversation is a good idea.
All right, and as you're getting ready and you're talking to a client, what staging tips do you recommend, to highlight some of the home's best features?
So we're really on top of all this. Right at the front door, you want to start with a nice clean entrance, and moving into the kitchen, the living room, the master bedroom and bathrooms are really the key components that people are looking at when it comes to staging and making sure that those spaces look photo ready, as we call it. We really want those spaces to look as if they're something out of a catalog, because what we love to see it. That's not always the case that we can do that, but taking away a lot of the clutter and cleaning is something that we're really professionally trained to do well. The photo that you saw a few minutes ago was of a home that really was set up and staged really well with the pillows on the couch, the accessories in the room, the small amount of things on the countertops. But lighting is something that we often talk about, making sure that light bulbs are all the same within a light fixture. A lot of times there'll be lights out, the bulbs will be out in the ceiling, and making sure that all of those lights have been replaced and make sure that they're all the same color. In the vanities, a lot of times you'll find the lighting, you'll have 3 different colored light bulbs, where we really try to recommend that they find one color to go with. I don't mean color as in red, white, and blue, but you want to make sure they're not yellow, bright white, get the same light bulb and wattage. Those are little things that you can follow. Um, Additionally, I think focusing on your outside areas is really important, and making sure that you set up your furniture. Fire pits are great. Fresh coats of paint on the front door, the garage doors, any railings, and things like that.
Well, are there any specific timing considerations if I wanted to list my home this spring to get the most buyer interest?
I really think that what it comes down to is making sure that you are coming up with a strategic plan. Whether you're thinking about a month from now or hitting the market sometime in May, having a plan with your agent, we call it a move plan, of getting everything done so that we can schedule a walkthrough prior to your photo shoot, because we hire a professional photographer. Have the photo shoot done at least 10 days prior. But also, when we come out, we like to do drip campaigns on our social media so that we're starting to spread the word about your property coming to the market really soon. And that timeline is really important. So if we were to get our professional pictures done on a Thursday or Friday of a prior week, we would like to hit the market by, let's say, Tuesday. That timeline, then we start the showings, let's say on Thursday or Friday. We want your home to be on the market and in the MLS system to hit all of the real estate websites and real estate apps so that people can start setting up their showing appointments for later in the week. We really like to have a good 48 hours to 72 hours before the weekend of your home being out there to expose it to the largest buyer pool.
Well, and I think you had mentioned earlier that's one of the most important things is to meet with you first, to set up a plan, to set up a timeline to do that. So once they do that, what type of marketing strategies do you use to make the property stand out in such a competitive market as the spring market is every year?
Absolutely. Professional photography is one of the things. We generally have our photographers give us anywhere from 50 to 100 pictures, and we choose those photos in such a manner that present the rooms and the spaces to their best light, but in an honest manner. We really don't want to make spaces look larger than they are. That can be really disappointing when a buyer goes in towards the house when it looks like a photo is, a room is like 20 by 20 when it's really 10 by 10. So we're really cautious of using photographers that understand our photo style and our marketing ideas. Um, I would say that the order of the photos that are being posted is also important. You want to have it look as if the home is being toured from the time you walk in the front door to the kitchen and living spaces, and then up to the bedrooms and down to the basement, and then do the backyard. So the order of them is one of the strategic marketing things that we make sure we do.
Looks like somebody wants to get in on the interview too.
Brimley, the puppy, is wanting to chat. He's out in the other room looking for attention, but I think we've got someone on that.
So, I know when you're selling a home, a lot of people don't normally do this, but talk us through how to prepare for a home inspection and the appraisal, when the mortgage company comes to take a look at the house.
I definitely can chat about that. When a buyer is having a home inspection, we want all areas of the home to be accessible. So they need to be able to get up in the attic. So if you have things in the attic, you want to make sure those are cleared away so that a home inspector can get up and look at everything up there. Also, down in the basement in your utility rooms, making sure that they can get to the heating system and the hot water heater and the water main and the plumbing under your sinks, and all of those different areas of the home are really important. If there's snow outside, you need to have accessibility on the exterior as well. You don't have to clear the snow from your roof by any means, but we do want to make sure that they can get to things like the vents and things on the outside, the gutters. They look at all of that stuff. And then in the summertime, the air conditioning condenser, all of those things need to be clear and accessible. And then for an appraisal, We recommend that you make the home show as nice as it did open house day, because they're there to value your home. If you've given up because you have an offer and all of a sudden you're leaving dirty dishes back in the sink and not picking up and making beds, I recommend that you really keep the house tidy through the appraisal process, because it could make the difference of making that mark of that price, especially in this market where homes are selling for a lot over the asking price. We really need the house to show its best for the appraiser.
Awesome. Some of these tips have really helped. Now, what steps can I take now? Because selling or buying a home, there's an awful lot of little details that are involved, attorneys, real estate agents. What steps can I take now to streamline that selling process and avoid any last minute stress?
That brings me back to a sale that we recently had that, we highly recommend doing the decluttering up front and actually starting to pack prior to putting your house on the market. We had a sale a couple of weeks ago that closed, and they were not ready to make the move the evening before the closing. So we highly recommend that you go through the process of starting to pack and or decluttering, but donating and getting rid of anything that you're not going to be moving ahead of time prior to listing your home and putting it out there on the market and starting showings. We also recommend a client team, and part of our consultation process is discussing the need and the want behind having a client team, a trusted advisor in, let's say, having a pre-home inspection prior to hitting the market. That would be a member of your client team. Also, a real estate attorney, having that professional who's right there and ready to check and make sure that everything's all set and there's no hiccups. Let's say you previously refinanced and for some reason something didn't get recorded. If we have a real estate attorney as part of the process early in the game, they can be doing that research, then preparing you for a smooth closing.
I have to say, personally, I was through that once when I bought a house. Somebody didn't sign off on a particular thing, and if it wasn't for the real estate attorney, I would have lost what's left of my hair, which really isn't there anymore.
Absolutely.
Well, Marcie, any final thoughts before we close out today?
Um, I think the biggest thing that I would say is that there's a big difference from real estate agent and brokerages in between. If you are considering selling your home, we recommend that you ask for recommendations and interview a handful of agents, because there's more to this than you might think. And finding a team of agents or an agent in general that you can trust and work through the processes. We're really the quarterback of the whole process. So having someone that's full-time and can manage everything in between and keep the communication at a high level and be a strong negotiator, and check out their marketing, look them up online, Google their their information and go and check out their social media. Those are the types of things that I think are really important. And I'm not sure that everybody does that. I hope that they would, but I would certainly recommend that interviewing of multiple agents before making a decision. And don't just hire your friend or your sister-in-law. Not always the best thing to work with family.
All right, and I got one final question for you. Why would you recommend somebody not trying to sell their home by themselves?
Oh, that's a really important one. There's a lot of laws,
Details.
a lot of details that people are unaware of. There's laws that you have to follow. There's disclosure that things that we have to follow. There's lead paint. There's so much negotiations. You can very easily be taken advantage of as well. Your home may be worth a heck of a lot more than what you could get by trying to sell it yourself, because you're not getting the exposure that you would get if it was listed and put on the market and negotiated. We come across that a lot, even when a home is listed. A lot of times, there's a lot of inexperienced agents out there, and they're not negotiating for their clients. And that is something that we pride ourselves in, is having great negotiation skills in order to get people better terms, first of all, than what is presented from the beginning. And if there's multiple offers, leveraging offers and negotiating all of the offers in order to help a seller get the best terms and sell for more money.
Well, awesome. Well, Marcie Rappa from Rappa Homes and Associates, thank you for taking the time to come on the show today. You've given us some phenomenal information and some great little tips that our normal homeowners wouldn't know about. So, Marcie, thank you. Folks, thanks for joining us. Big shout out to James Friedman and the team over there at AACS who puts on our show every week. We really appreciate them, and we just ask you to be safe. See ya.